Hey guys, what's up? It's Cover here. I've got some more niche educational material that I'm going to cover today. We're going to go over mob AI. Now, this isn't how much damage they do or how to dodge them. This is what they see and what triggers their aggro. My friends told me I need to say this. Please like the video and sub. And also, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I read all of them. I really appreciate it. There are three different ways mobs pick who to aggro next. There's the AI sense damage, which tracks players which have done damage to the mob within a 30-meter radius. The AI sense hearing, which is disabled on all mobs except for one, at least for now. And AI sense sight, which tracks vision of you in a line of sight. The first section of this video, we're going to cover the AI sense sight. I think the easiest way for me to talk about the AI sense of sight would be to break down a very simple mob like the skeleton footman. So all mobs in the game have five characteristics: the piece distance, the sight range, the sight distance, the chase distance, and the combat acceptance radius. There are some other stats that they all share, like peripheral range, and there is like a special attack or event attack range. But specifically, those five, all of them share, and they all kind of have different values there. All of these values, except for the combat radius, take into account line of sight. So if you're right next to a mob but behind a door, it's not going to spawn. It's only going to spawn when you open the door and get line of sight of it. If there's a mob roaming and it's behind a wall and you turn the corner, it's not going to aggro on you until you turn the corner. A quick aside, all the modules in the game are 32 meters by 32 meters. All the blocks that are in the game are 3.2 meters large because each module is 10 by 10 blocks. I don't know how much that's going to help you with like understanding, so I'm really hoping the visuals I provide are going to like do the trick. The first characteristic which I'm going to cover is the peace distance, which is specifically for dormant, unspawned mobs, which then spawn in. I'm pretty sure this is like only skeletons, only melee skeletons. But all mobs in the game have this stat. The difference is once a mob is already spawned, is in a roaming phase, it will use the sight range to determine whether or not to aggro on you. So the skeleton footman sight range, which is a little bit larger than the spawn range, you probably feel that when you're playing. It feels like the skeletons that are already spawned aggro a little bit farther than the ones that aren't spawned. For all other mobs in the game, this is the default vision. The maximum sight distance is exactly that, the maximum value that the mob can see you from. As soon as you get out of that range, you'll start to lose their aggro value. All mobs in the game will completely de-aggro at 30 meters, including mini bosses. Unsurprisingly, 30 meters is also the render distance. So if you basically de-render a mob, you're probably good to go for heading out. It's not going to be chasing you. No matter how much damage was done beyond that 30 meters, all the aggro values reset, and it's like you never existed. One note is bosses may have a 40-meter radius. I don't know exactly for sure, but I need to do some more testing and look into the code a bit more. But that's just what I've seen, and I'm gonna make a separate video on bossing because I just want to be specific about it since it's kind of important information. Last value to cover is the combat acceptance radius. This is for like the basic attacks of the mob. They'll attack you if you're within this radius, regardless of line of sight. So this explains why like ranged mobs are like shooting you through walls or whatever, and skeletons will hit you if you're too close to them, even if you're next to the wall. It's just because they have this range where if you touch them, that's what makes them go off. You know. So putting them all together, we get something that looks like this. This is kind of like what the mob is seeing at all times because these are the values that they have set. And you can see that line I have drawn down the center. That's the peripheral vision where on either side of it, it can see what's going on because it's got 180-degree vision on both its eyes. So I've given you all these numbers and I've described these values. How does this look in practice? Well, my example first is going to be Chapel, where we have the 2 unspawned skeletons, the skeleton mage, and then the 2 bats. As you can see, just as in the image, the skeleton mage and the skeleton spearman here have an aggro range which overlaps. Next, I'm going to show basically the same thing, but with the demon dog, which has an 80-degree peripheral vision, meaning that it has a total of 160-degree vision in front of it, and a 21 meter. Actually, I think it's a little shorter than that. I think the initial range is like 10 meters, but then the full range that I can see is 21 meters. And then we're going to look at the skeleton archer too. So here I'm walking into the 10-meter initial sight range, and I'm behind this corner, so I'm not getting aggro just yet. But when I move out of the corner, I am within the area the dog can see, and it'll aggro on me. Another quick glimpse at the visual. So here the archer range is very long, but because there's that steep drop, his vision kind of goes at an angle there. You got to remember another thing about the skeletons is their vision isn't a cone or isn't a cylinder. It's a sphere that goes around them. So it's like a circle all the way around. And you got to keep that in mind when you're thinking, where is it actually ranging on me? I think if I may have been crouching there, the skeleton archer wouldn't have aggroed on me. So there is one mob in the game that I've seen that has a audio range. It is the cockatrice. It has a 5-meter audio range, and it's the only mob that you can aggro without having line of sight. Now, it does also have an 8-meter piece distance, which means that because it's a spawning mob like the skeletons, I think mummies might also spawn like that. Because it's got the 8-meter, if you are in the line of sight of the 8-meter, it will still spawn. But if you're not in line of sight and you're within the 5-meter and you make a noise, it will also spawn. The last sense that the AI has is a damage tracker. So what this does is this tracks how much damage it has taken from its opponents. You can de-aggro it by being out of the 30-meter range, but when you are out of the line of sight after a certain amount of time, it will stay aggroed on you. But if someone else enters the combat range of that mob, it will change aggro onto you. And this is what really started the whole like investigation for me, is like, what do I do when they have a mob on the door? And the answer is the mobs have their combat range, and if you can open the door without getting in that combat range before your enemy gets out of the 30-meter radius, then the mob will keep tracking them. They'll hunt after them. As long as they've been hit once, they'll keep going after them. The difference is if you are in the combat range and it's in this dormant state where it's trying to get access to this other player, the mob will drop aggro on that player and then gain aggro on you and stay on you as if the other player never damaged it. So my first example is going to be in the Goblin Caves. And as you can see here, I'm just standing outside the range. And even when I get in the range, they do have this idle animation that they use. And it seems to be like a temporary thing where it really is like a 30% chance whether or not at the end of that idle animation, the little grunts, it's going to switch aggro on you. That's how it feels, at least.
Dude, what kind of
The next
are you
task
up
is
to
pretty
right
much
now,
the
dude?
exact same thing, but with the skeleton footmen.
Are you Ryan 6 days a week or some
The
shit?
difference really is that the skeleton footmen are a lot more responsive. As soon as you
Upper?
get in that combat
Yeah,
range, it's going to
he's
swing at
fucking
you,
Ryan
versus
3.
the goblin, which has that little grunting idle animation. So here I wait about 20 seconds within the aggro range of the skeleton, and then I walk into the combat range. It immediately aggroes on me, sends 2 attacks on me, and then you can see as I walk away that it is still focused on me.
I'm glad we got down to the bottom of this together.
So here I have a cleric hit the skeleton once, and I throw a torch, and I miss a torch, and then I throw a throwing knife at it, and it changes aggro onto me. So it wasn't just the damage from one torch that made it aggro. So in the second part of the test, I throw 2 torches at it and hit it, just to show that it's not just like hitting it twice. And then I shoot it in the leg, and you can see it aggroes me before it dies.
You're welcome.
Finally, I just have a couple clips showing off like what I was talking about in the initial section in the site. This first clip is showing that the mobs can't spawn if there's a blocking vision, no line of sight. This next clip is of me attacking the skeleton, running within the 30-meter range, and seeing that the skeleton will still chase me. This next clip is of me running back to where the skeleton that we just showed initially spawned. And you can see that it is de-aggroed from me, and as I approach it and go within its sight range, then it re-aggroes back on me. And that's about all the information I wanted to cover. I have like basically a slideshow of basically all the skeletons, some mobs, and all the mini bosses from Ruins, Crypts, and Inferno. Sorry, Goblin Caves and Frost Giant people. But yeah, if you guys like the video, make sure to like and sub and comment. I really appreciate comments. I really like reading them. But yeah, thanks for watching. Another important note is that all these mobs, like all these characteristics, they're shared between common, elite, and nightmare. It's all the same. So that's why I feel comfortable sharing it like in this format.